5 minutes ago, gender identity did not exist. 5 minutes ago, schools were not socially transitioning children without their parents' knowledge or consent. 5 minutes ago, your sex was observed at birth, it was not assigned. 5 minutes ago, drag queens were not in schools reading wholly inappropriate books to children as young as 3, 4, and 5 in school classrooms, lunchrooms, libraries, and gymnasiums. This one's dark. 5 minutes ago, perfectly healthy 13-year-old girls were not seeking out elective double mastectomy procedures as part of a gender-affirmative care plan that promises to make them whole, that promises to rectify their sex with their gender identity. 5 minutes ago, none of this was happening. Really, when you think about it, none of this was happening when you were children. None of it was happening when I was in school. So I'm here to ask you, what the hell is going on? What's going on? Who developed these insane theories? Who put them into schools? How did they justify doing so? And what are they attempting to do with our children? So what did I find? This thing called radical gender ideology or gender theory or the transgender cult, whatever you call it, the schools call it inclusion, that thing, it has a technical name, and that technical name is queer theory. Queer theory, what is that? Queer theory is the doctrine of a religious cult. It is a religious cult doctrine that primarily targets children. Now I have to get this part out of the way because this is a stumbling block and it can be confusing for people, but queer theory has essentially nothing to do with children who may happen to be gay or lesbian. It has nothing to do with children, being concerned for them and including them and making sure they're loved and they're not bullied and helping them develop normally and lead a long, healthy, prosperous, normal life. It has nothing to do with that. Why is that? Because queer theory feasts on destabilization. Revolutions require instability and destabilization to work. It's a precondition of revolution. So when kids who happen to be gay or lesbian, or adults who happen to be gay or lesbian, grow up and they fit in society and they're getting along just as any one of us is getting along, that saps that potential revolutionary energy, that political energy that that person might otherwise have, that queer theory can take advantage of and feed. It saps a soldier from them in their revolution. So when you read their literature, they couldn't be more clear. Queer theory is explicitly and rabidly hostile to the idea of someone who happens to be gay or lesbian fitting in and being prosperous in society and living a happy, healthy, normal life. Queer theory's central claim, our nature, the answer it thinks it has, is that we are all queer. All of us, all of you, you're all queer for queer theory. Now, what does that mean? Queer theory is defined in their literature by a man named David Halperin in 1995 in a book called Saint Foucault, Towards a Gay Hagiography. And in that book, Halperin defines queer in this way. He says, quote, and I can do this verbatim because I've had to say this a million times to show how crazy this all is and what queer means to them. He says, quote, unlike gay identity, as I was just saying, not about being gay or lesbian. Unlike gay identity, queer identity need not be grounded in any positive truth or in any stable reality. Queer is defined by its oppositional relation to the norm. It is by definition whatever is at odds with the normal, the legitimate, and the dominant. There is nothing in particular to which it necessarily refers. It is an identity without an essence. End quote. What does that commie gobbledygook mean? It's not about gays and lesbians, but it's also not rooted in any positive truth. Queer theory has nothing to do with the truth, nothing to do with objective truth. It has no positive vision for the world. It is a theory that is driven by pure critique. It is a purely negative theory. And it's not rooted in any stable reality. It is a destabilizing theory. It's rooted in instability. So it's not rooted in positive truth. It has nothing to do with capital T, the truth, the objective truth. And it's a completely destabilizing theory. Sounds great, let's box it up and put it in schools and play with it with children, right? So that's what queer means, and queer theory's fundamental argument is you are all queer.